لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله. In terms of the question, if you may read it again.
Is how can one shake a feeling when one is feeling low?
I think the best thing to understand here is that ultimately you can't, because in the question there's a want to control this, and in the controlling to push it away because we just don't like it. Um, and by accepting that, there begins to be a move internal states. Want to take away the term emotional. Just internal states are what affect the inner heart, right? There's an outer heart in the inner heart. There's an outer shell, which is kind of a psycho-emotional kind of shell that filters our states or how we perceive or interpret them, that come from outside and inside. But then there's also more subtle states, and these would be more the spiritual states that the spiritual heart has to deal with. So now the heart itself, as a qalb, has to do with both of these, right? So I'm just going to read. So I'll refer to all of these as internal states. That's why I want to use the term internal states rather than just emotional states. Usually when we work with either our understanding of what we're experiencing, that can sometimes help shift certain internal states, in us. They may, open us to other possibilities just by understanding the emotion or the internal state or the situation that has brought upon that state. When we bring attention to that and we begin reflecting upon this and attempt to situate or frame our awareness or understanding of this matter in regards to a greater good that goes beyond those actual experiences, that can begin to shift how we relate to the experiences. So I would say that the first response really is that it's important to understand that it is not entirely in our control to shake a state like this that becomes that we've seen that we just simply can't shake, right? There's things that we can shake and we can shake out of, right? But when we notice there are internal states that we just can't shake, it's important to understand this, to first accept that matter, that that's from Allah, like that is from God, to whatever situation that we're in, and that by understanding this and um, understanding that we can change the way we relate to the experience, to the state, can procure the tawfiq, the grace of an opening of a shift, right? It's important here not to expect this to happen, right? Because then you will be adding disappointment to it not happening the way you really wanted to. This would be the first thing I'd say, that if we bring recourse to the intelligence, then we can contemplate or reflect on this matter, and this helps. The sirah, the essential sources of our religious framework have inspiring and inspired and revealed narratives that help us situate what we're experiencing, because other greats have experienced them in some way, and so we can derive inspiration from that. So I think in all those ways, and deeply reflecting on this can help us kind of shift how we're relating, right? Because a judgment is made that, well, I'm overwhelmed, I can't shake this. Some things I just can't. But rather than um, having an awareness or approaching this in some other way, which may procure a shift, right? Of the, no matter how profound or powerful it is, the sadness, for example, will eventually come and go, as the ancient scriptures say, this too shall pass. Abraham Lincoln is known for saying this, but it's in the old scriptures. What Allah calls suhuf al-awla, right? The original or the ancient scriptures. Uh, uh, that this too shall pass. No matter how long it takes, it will pass. Any internal state that you are experiencing will pass. It's how we choose to relate to those experiences, no matter how long they appear to last, and no matter how powerfully impressive they are, kind of upon our current conditions. So I'd say having that awareness, then cultivating certain attitudes, if need be, that of patience, right? What does God want me to, in my muhasaba of this, in my self introspection of this, what does God want me to cultivate, or learn from this, right? Is it patience? Is it perseverance? Is it forbearance? Um, is it all these things, right? Uh, this goes a long way. What do we need to cultivate with what we're experiencing? Um, yes, we can then say, I can only be patient for so long. At some point, we need to accept that we're going to feel like this, but also not fixate on that feeling, and then also turn to what we should be thankful for. The grace of life, of just simply being and having loved ones still around, um, having family, etc., whoever it is that's close in our life and whoever we value, to be thankful for them, right? And to bring attention, more to them, and then begin interacting. So I think then interacting and relating in connection, because often that is missed, as especially with experiences of sadness, of deep-rooted sadness. It's important to keep in touch, because these are then ways that the heart finds a way to become open again, or to remain open. So I would say these things, and of course, keeping to a routine of adhkar, of your dhikr, especially when it gets tough. Now, you will only be able to keep the routine, even if you essentialize it, if you have a routine, right? So in other words, by remaining consistent in your routine, especially in the good times, will help you return to the routine in the bad times, and will be a powerful resource for you, an anchor for you, amidst this, right? The goodly tree is as the Quran says, is firmly rooted, like a tree. So the good word is like a good tree, a pure one, shajaran tayyib, that is firmly rooted. And part of the firmly rootedness is this, that we need to root ourselves in the practice, so that it does become our resource, our anchor, so that we're rooted in it when the winds and the storms of life come, in emotions and events in life. Um, so, um, so actually, when we come to this place, finally, I'm sorry for taking so long. When we come to this place, like, meaning taking so long to answer this or to respond, when we come to this place of just feeling that we can't shake it, like, that's a good place, because you realize that you really can't, and we must rely on that which goes beyond both what we're feeling and who we are. But we need to somehow tap into something, which could be our faith, our yaqeen, our iman, or our yaqeen, that helps us go beyond this, right? So it's a good place to actually be, and we understand at that point, it's not a we cannot accomplish this, ourselves alone, right? Whether that means to connect with God more, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and or with the community, with our loved ones. Interaction is very, very important in healing in this regard, right? It's important for others to listen, but it's also important for you to be there, and to feel valued by being there and being yourself and connecting with others. All these things go a long way to nourish the hearts and to reawaken them. Inshallah.
لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله